One of the best things that's happened to the church in recent years is an increased understanding and focus on things like God's grace and the fact that God gets there before us and that God has a plan for us and that God is working things out and that there's nothing we can do to earn our salvation. One of the worst things that has happened to the church in recent years is an increased focus on God's grace, the fact that God has a plan, the fact that He's working it out. And you see, here's what I mean. We have rightly focused on God's grace and God's part, and I think that's really good because that's where everything starts. But when you overemphasize that part, it can almost communicate that there's nothing for us to do. That we can just sit back and God will do everything, that He'll just save us because He's great. And God is great, but there is something for us to do. We cannot earn our salvation, but we must respond to it, and we must live in it, and we must maintain it. And that's what this week's lesson is going to be about. The sermon is called Some Maintenance Required, and it's from Romans chapter 12. And I'm going to give you 3 things that I think we ought to be doing more of, 3 things we ought to focus on and not forget as we try and follow God. There are some things we should be doing. There are some things that will make us stronger spiritually. That's what we'll focus on this week. In our Bible study at 10 o'clock, we're going to start Acts chapter 9. That is the story of Paul's conversion. And there are a lot of things to talk about in there. This is a real turning point in the life of the church. In fact, it's a story that's told 3 times in the book of Acts. And so we'll look at each of those versions a little bit. We'll do some comparison, but mostly we'll just talk about how one of the biggest haters of God turned out to be one of the biggest promoters. God can do anything. That's a really hopeful message, and we'll talk about that on Sunday. It's a long weekend, and so I don't know who's going to be away or who's going to come and visit, but maybe just think about bringing a little extra food if you're going to be here this week, just to help us cover visitors who might be here. Then we can invite them to stay for lunch. If you're going to be around, I'm looking forward to seeing you on Sunday. It's going to be really good. If you're traveling, be safe. We'll keep you in our prayers until you're back. I'm feeling a little sick right now. I'm going to try and wrap things up and go home and get better. Hopefully, I see you Sunday.